Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Oh, that's right. It's all about you, ABQ. Now, the goal of the show is to highlight the best of our city's industry experts in real estate, culture, lifestyle, so that you walk away with some value and feeling inspired. Now, the way that we like to do that is to answer the questions that you may have or interview the guests that you'd like to see. So we invite you to join the conversation. You can reach out using the hashtag up here or join our email list to get some timely tips about our community and real estate market. Hey, I'm Skip Adams, owner of SoldBySkip Real Estate Brokerage here in Albuquerque, in a little bit of a different format today. I'm joined by Dave Binder, real estate agent on SoldBySkip. Dave, tell me a little bit, dude. What's up with you?
Oh, just living the good life, crushing it in real estate. How about yourself? How's your weekend going?
Stay busy. And typically what will happen in the show is we'll have Grant Harvey here talking about loans and mortgage minute, but Grant was recently deported back to Canada, so he's going to be out of studio. Dave, I want to thank you for stopping in and filling his shoes today, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about.
You know, I'm just like Grant, but not as muscular.
Better looking, a little bit smarter, never hurt anybody. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned. We're going to be joined by Amanda Carras in studio, who's had a background in marketing and then switched over to real estate and has been absolutely crushing it, setting records for our team, but also just growing as a real estate agent. So we're going to talk to her about her journey and kind of how that's been. But long weekend, man. Tell me a little bit about what you've been up to this week.
Oh, just grilling burgers, hanging out with the kids, and showing lots and lots of properties.
It's funny. It's nice to have a host on who has kids, because I know, we talk about Birdie all the time on the show, who's my oldest daughter. She's 21 months now. And then we welcomed Adeline into the world about a few weeks ago as well, my little daughter. And every time I try and bring up what is there to do with kids in town, whether that's going to jungle jams or summer camp, stuff like that, I always get blank stares from my other co-host who is more of a Pomeranian guy.
He's no good. He's childless. No help at all.
Yeah, no help at all. But let's talk about it. We did have a long weekend, so with a long weekend becomes, when you work in the service industry like we do, it's kind of all hands on deck, because with a longer weekend, we get more buyers coming to town, more people wanting to show properties. So
people got time off work. They want to go see houses.
Exactly. So I don't know. I was going on. My hair was on fire, but it was like every time my phone rang, it was either you or it was Amanda or it was a client, and I feel like we all had. We were all going full speed.
I was looking forward to a quiet Tuesday after the weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Let's recap a little bit about what's going on here in Albuquerque. There's a lot to digest as far as current events go. Specifically, Mayor Keller gave the State of the City address about Albuquerque and touched on some key points for what we can expect coming up here in the next year or so. Whether that's redevelopment of some certain areas of town.
I thought it was interesting they were pitching free preschool for kids 4 years and younger, which as a parent, I'm a huge fan of free childcare. So
yeah, very relevant right now, only because Birdie just registered for preschool. But to speak to the fact that kids 4 and under, they're going to be promoting the fact that you can get free preschool. Is that right?
I believe that's the truth.
That's what they're throwing out there. So I think that rings home for me. And again, we'll have links to more information in the show description below. Another thing that we were talking about is real estate heavy. And I think that you will have some good talking points on this, because your background was in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That is true.
And you used to run a gym, and you always have the best stories. Tell us a little bit about the stories when you had you ran a gym in a little bit of the hood.
In an area now known as the International District. Yeah, I got some good stories, fighting off meth heads, getting the kids involved off the streets. We did some good stuff. So
one of the areas that's tagged for redevelopment here in Albuquerque is the Manal Corridor. And this is located off Manal, right off of I-25. And it used to be a big hub for business and warehousing, and lately it's fallen into ruin. But I think there's a redevelopment plan for this area to kind of breathe some new life back into it.
Get some new businesses in there, kind of redevelop the streets a little bit.
one of the things that we always want to do is figure out a way to redevelop some of these older warehouses or defunct businesses and kind of either turn them into, we work in residential real estate. Let's talk about housing. How do we get more bodies into these houses or into these properties that are not being used, right? I think that's something that we should.
Yeah, I mean, we got options of, we can pick stuff up, flip it.
Expand it, get some bodies in there. Let's find a way
there.
to turn it into something valuable. So those are just some of the key things that we were watching here in Albuquerque. One thing to note, let's talk a little bit about our real estate market here locally. And there was some good news that came out, according to our association of realtors locally, Albuquerque saw a population increase. For the first time in a long time. Typically we have a net population growth here in Albuquerque, meaning the same amount of people leave as move here. And let's see, let me find that number.
What was our increase?
Let's see. We're currently in a seller's market, median home price around $350. That's about the same as we know. There's a couple reasons for current seller's market in Albuquerque. One reason is that the city is growing rapidly. The population of Albuquerque has increased by over 10% in the last 5 years, and this growth is expected to continue. So I think that one thing that we pride ourselves on is helping people find Albuquerque and relocate here. So I think it's good to know that we're seeing an influx of people coming here. And the effect that that's having on the market is that the number of homes available is down, right? So think about this. Home sales, the number of home sales last month were up 15% from where they were a year ago. And the median home sales price, so the number of homes sold went up and the number of homes available went down. So what we're seeing is that values are going to continue to rise simply because of supply and demand. Yep. We've got more people coming here with fewer homes to buy, and so that can only be good for sellers if they want to be sellers, but also just good for stimulating our economy here and getting more buyers into the market, I think.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. More people here, the better.
So real estate is cyclical, right? It goes up and down, and whether you're in a buyer's market or a seller's market, there's a few different, it's different, right? How do we explore or how do we tackle a market that's a seller's market versus a buyer's market? And I know you've been in the market, you've been in real estate for a little while, and this is kind of, we talked about being prepared for a shift, right, as interest rates have gone up. But right now, in my opinion, working in seller's market is much more fun. It seems like homes sit on the market, only for a couple of weeks and then they're sold. I worked when I first got started, we were in a buyer's market. And so figure that's when you have at least a six month supply of homes or more. So homes would be on the market for 6 months at a time. So if you represented sellers, you would literally put the sign up and just sit there and just twiddle your thumbs like this is unbearable because there was just no buyers to be had. Now it's kind of the opposite. Like working with buyers, it's like as soon as homes go on the market, they're sold.
They're gone. Yeah.
Gone are the days of sitting at open houses twiddling your thumbs. It's like you've got a steady stream of buyers coming in. So seller's market, I think, has been a lot more exciting. And to speak to it this weekend, everybody had their hair on fire.
Yeah. I mean, I was showing 3 different clients' properties, just bouncing around nonstop. Rio Rancho, Placitas, East Mountains. People are looking everywhere.
One of the things that we pride ourselves on our team is the customer service, right? So what'll happen is how we have it structured is we always have somebody at Command Central manning the phones. So Dave will be out in the field showing properties, and he'll call me about a property, and I'll be manning the computer. He's like, I need to do what are the estimated taxes? Find me all the information about this house or their offers. Then I need you to draft an offer. And all this is going on behind the scenes while he's face to face with the client, showing the client properties and kind of remaining calm on the outside, and then I'm back in the lab just freaking out, trying to get offers drafted and out and competing. So that's one way that we provide value to people is we have a full team of people working to make sure that your offer is out there ahead of everybody else.
I feel like I'm an astronaut and you're Houston.
Mission control,
Mission
right?
control, exactly.
Except, we never have problems, ever.
Ever.
Otherwise, you're fired. Coming up in the next segment, we're going to meet Amanda Carras, who's switched her career from marketing a few years ago and bringing all those skills into the real estate game. It's really helped excel and propel her career, selling over $7 million in real estate in the last year and really becoming just a top producer in Albuquerque. So we're going to find out some tips and tricks from her, as well as dude, and here's what I can't even believe I forgot to mention this up front, dude. Here's why you're going to want to stay tuned to the last segment. A little bit of a variation. Everybody stays tuned for Skip's Tips. We're going to do a little bit of a variation where we have the entire team up here. We're going to be doing Sold by Skip's Tips. So that's in the third segment. Again, we got Amanda Carras coming up next. Stay tuned. This is all about you, ABQ. Welcome back to UABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of SoldBySkip Real Estate here in Albuquerque.
Here with Dave Binder, real estate broker here in Albuquerque.
Dave, you're looking good, man. You're looking trim on camera, buddy.
You know what? I'm on a diet. trying to get slim for the summer.
Yeah, just eating up all those listings. In this segment, let's welcome to the show Amanda Carras, who's a real estate broker here in town, who's absolutely crushing it. We're going to get her tips and tricks and her secrets to what it takes to be a successful listing agent here in Albuquerque. Amanda, thanks for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me, I think.
Thanks for bringing the energy. I know this is one of your favorite things to do, is kind of talk about real estate, but also, before we get into that, let's talk about you.
Okay, what do you want to know?
Well, I think you have a fantastic story. First of all, very creative in your background. Talk a little bit about your background in design.
So I grew up in Albuquerque, went away for school for design and went to ASU, was there in Arizona for 10 years. And my husband got married, had some kids, and we decided to move back to Albuquerque. And here we are. We're still kicking it here.
Well, one of the goals of the show is to kind of highlight Albuquerque in itself, but to talk about people that relocate to Albuquerque, or in my case, or Amanda's case, or even Dave's case, is people that leave Albuquerque for greener pastures and then realize that Albuquerque really is where it's at. You have the low cost of living, low population, relatively no traffic. So talk about some of the reasons, some of the differences between living in a big city like Phoenix, and just what are your thoughts about living, in Albuquerque once you've come back?
Well, the number one thing about difference from Phoenix to Albuquerque is the weather. You cannot beat Albuquerque's climate and weather. Summer, winter, it's the best ever.
You don't like 115-degree days
it's
with Phoenix?
It has its moments, but
I lived in Tucson for a little while for a summer when I was playing minor league baseball, and Tucson is not as bad as Phoenix when it comes to temperature, but like in the middle of the day, you go to get in your car is literally like 150 degrees. You can't touch the steering wheel.
You can't sit down, and if leather seats are awful.
Black leather, I had. Not bragging.
Good choice.
Leather. No, it's awesome here. The best thing in the summer is that it cools off at night. We can get to 100 degrees. We can get a little over 100, but it will cool off. And you don't get that in Phoenix. It's 100 degrees at midnight.
No, that's right.
So
I always remember that we would go to spring training or something, and as a kid, and I'd just be walking outside, just be it's still hot.
Yeah.
Feeling like you're getting hit in the face
It's like
by
an oven. It radiates
hot baseball bat?
off the asphalt all the time. But here, it's nice and cool outside. It'll drop down to 70s or 80s in the middle of summer. So.
Well, I think Albuquerque is a pretty good kept secret, right? When you look at all the surrounding areas, Denver, Dallas, Phoenix have all exploded exponentially.
Yeah.
And then to see that our population has grown a little bit over the past 5 years just speaks that I think that everywhere else is busting at the seams, and there's still time to get into Albuquerque to still get in at the ground level. We only have room to grow here, and I think that people are really starting to see the benefit. So moving back to Albuquerque, what was the main driver that, at some point you had to wake up and just go, you know what, let's get out of Phoenix? And then why Albuquerque when? What was the driving factor?
We had family here, which was great. The weather was another thing. My husband grew up in Phoenix, and he had come back to visit with me and was like, wow, this is amazing. Cost of living was one of the reasons we came back. And then, there's no traffic. It doesn't take an hour to get anywhere. There's a lot of reasons to come back to Albuquerque.
So did it take a lot of convincing to get Joe to be like, you know what, I'll leave my comfort zone?
He did have a job offer here, which was amazing. That helped too, but it was easier. He was able to find a job here that, it it made sense for us.
Well, I like how this is, our team here, the SoldBySkip Real Estate team, and I like how we all have kind of the same backstory in the fact that we grew up here. Amanda and I, we went to high school together. Dave, we grew up together.
That's true.
I used to put you in headlocks as a kid. And, fast forward, we all kind of found our way back here.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I wanted you to be a part of the team is just because of your background in design, a little bit of marketing, but you've been such a key part of our team for all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes for, the marketing and design stuff. So when we get listings, talk about some of the things that you do behind the scenes to provide value, whether that's, staging or pictures.
I do like to do the staging part. Some of the stuff I do is help with, postcard design, marketing design, social media posts, stuff like that, since I am pretty good at putting those together.
Well, one thing that drives me crazy is doing design work and computer stuff and figuring out how to put pictures and stuff together. And that's one of your strong points.
Yeah. I'm good at building a brand, and so I like to think that I help,
Which, by the way,
organize your brand.
this magical logo right here was all designed by Amanda.
Yeah.
So if you want your logos designed very similar.
Give me a call. I can help.
Yeah. No, but Dave, so, to speak to it, you were out showing properties this weekend, getting your teeth kicked in. Talk a little bit about your weekend. We had buyers in town. And
The same thing. A lot of people who weren't in town did some virtual tours, which was really fun. But yeah, driving all over the place, looking at properties. It was a wild one.
Well, so many times that we see people moving to Albuquerque and buying a property sight unseen. And one of the things that we offer is our hassle-free relocation process, which includes comprehensive video tours.
Yeah.
One of the things that makes our video tours a little different, it's not just quick run through of the property. We take the time to tell you, you're going to know exactly what the kitchen smells like, if there's barking dogs at the neighbor's house, whether you're in a flight path, whether or not you have sexual predators living next door. We're going to tell you what the neighborhood looks like.
Whether it stinks of cigarettes?
Cigarettes, cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Weed, marijuana,
Okay.
whatever the kids call it these days.
Yeah. So, there's things to look out for, and I think it's important to have the right team in place to help whether you're buying or selling. But you flipped over and started doing real estate a few years ago, right out of the gate, $7 million under contract and sold in the first year.
Yeah.
Right away, top producer, absolutely crushing it. And I think you learned a lot along the way. Talk a little bit about the differences. Typically when you get in the industry, you start as a buyer's agent, and then you switch over to a listing broker. Each side has their own ups and downs.
Yeah.
What do you like about being a listing agent versus a selling agent?
Oh man, that's hard. Buyer's agent, I feel like I've met so many cool people, and I get to spend a lot of time with them, and I get to know them, which is kind of fun. I've met so many awesome people who are moving to Albuquerque, and that is really fun. On the listing side, it's a little bit more. It's just a different strategy. And I still feel like I'm kind of trying to get the ropes on that side of it. But
well, to speak to it, I think that one of the big differences is on the listing side, it's so much up work or front-loaded work,
Yes.
right, to get everything ready for market, ready to go live.
yeah,
But once you have it live, it's like you
coast.
you kind of get your weekends back, right?
Yeah.
You're not. Whereas buyer's agents, it's like,
You're just on the move all the time.
yeah, there's no
Yeah.
place to hide. You're showing properties, writing offers, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, you nailed it.
Well, trust me, I've been doing this since 2005, and I know the ups and downs of both sides of it. So I know what kind of work goes on to it, and so that's why what we did differently on our team, and Amanda can speak to this, is for the listing side, we try and offer as many options as we can for sellers, whether that's a fix and list program. Dave, you familiar with our fix and
I
list program?
love a fix and lift. It's my thing.
Basically, we partner with you as the seller to help flip your house, right? So if you're living in the house and you have the ability to kind of move out before we sell it, we can remodel the kitchens and bathrooms and then sell your home for much more and share some of the equity there. Another option that we have is our Sell Now, Move Later program, right? Where we can offer you a full market cash offer for your property and then rent your property back to you for up to a year while you either find a replacement property or figure out what you're going to do next. And it's very similar. If you want to sell your house and buy another house, it's kind of a weird time right now wherein There's not a lot to choose from, so a lot of buyers get stuck in between. So we have the ability to offer you that cash, turn you into a cash buyer so that you can go buy your replacement property, and then we'll basically buy your house from you when you're ready to help with that transition. So the goal of our team has always been to provide options for people for out of state, people for sellers, and just do things a little bit differently. But Dave, let's talk a little bit about you, because you've been in, you had a huge transition from being an athlete, owning your own gym, to getting into real estate. Now that you've kind of caught your breath and you've sold another $7 million in real estate as well.
With Amanda's guidance.
Yeah. So, talk about what you've learned and how you've matured, and what are some tips that you picked up over the last year?
I've had to learn a lot for real estate. I was in the martial arts business, professional fighting before this, which doesn't have as much paperwork as Skip knows. He's got to double check my check boxes. So, I've learned a lot about being organized and doing paperwork. That's, I've always been comfortable talking to the clients, getting out there, beating the pavement. But, I've had to learn a lot, ask a lot of questions on, sort of the technical aspects of closing these deals.
Well, there's a whole different etiquette that goes into it, with an office job versus, choking people out in martial arts for a living. And so I think there's always that transitional period, which you have just come in, guns blazing, and you really taken over your business and, taken on a handful of brand new listings and buyer clients in the past few months. So
Sink or swim, that's the attitude.
Well, and the numbers are 90% of real estate agents sink in the first 3 years. So hats off to you guys for absolutely crushing it and continuing to grow, and helping our team grow and our brand grow. And I think that we always appreciate you guys having the time and patience to work on a team and doing team functions and stuff like that. So what about you, Amanda? Talk a little bit about what you've learned and how you've matured over the past few years in real estate.
Oh my gosh, I've learned so much. I don't even know where to start.
If you had to talk to a new agent this year, like if somebody was like, "Hey, I'm going to get my license," what would some tips?
I think it's hard for me to say, because I jumped in the deep end of this this crazy market, and so I just say have patience, be ready to go when the phone rings, and I don't know. That's hard. That's a really tough one. Mm-hmm. Just hang on.
Hang on
you
for
can do
dear
it.
life.
Yeah,
Persistence, that's the key. Just keep grinding.
Yeah.
Well, showing up and stepping outside of your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
Doing social media, doing television, doing
this kind of thing.
Yeah, which you guys are doing great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're gonna do something a little bit fun in the third segment. Typically, what we do, and this is why everybody tunes in. Everybody tunes in for Skip's tips, which is nothing more than a little nugget that helps us, saves us time, makes us more money, allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. And that's Skip's tips. But since the entire Sold by Skip's team is here, we're gonna do Sold by Skip's tips, where each of us are gonna get our chance to kind of go through one tip that'll help buyers or sellers or anybody looking to get into the real estate market this year. So stay tuned as we get into our third segment with Skip's tips. You won't want to miss it.
So many tips.
Welcome back to UABQ. It's time for Skip's tips.
Oh, it's Skip's tips. Anything that saves us time, makes us more money, or allows us to have more fun, whether that's in real estate or real life. So right along the Rio Grande River, nestled underneath the giant cottonwood trees, lies the village of Corrales, New Mexico. And what people love about Corrales, New Mexico is it's an opportunity to have a horse property with stables, shade from the trees, and beautiful estates that you won't find in any other parts of the country. And I want to take you through our new listing here in Corrales on 123 Ashley Lane. It's located in one of the best parts, nestled just inside the entrance to Corrales. So it's got easy access to shopping, dining, and all the amenities that Albuquerque has to offer, with all the cozy parts of living in Corrales. So this property is available. It's on just over an acre. For private tours, just give me a call or shoot me a text. Hey, share this with a friend and tell them Skip said so.
Hey, here's Dave with some Skip's tips on home inspections. Here in Albuquerque, we generally recommend the 4 major Inspections. When you get a house under contract, the first step is we want to order a general home inspection. We want to see the condition of that home you're buying from the crawl space all the way up to the roof. Make sure you know exactly what you're purchasing. We also want to make sure we want to get a pest inspection. We don't want you buying a house that's riddled with termites or bed bugs crawling in your bed. We want to make sure you're buying a nice clean home. Third up, we have the sewer scope, super important. I have kids, sometimes they put a whole roll of toilet paper down the toilet, so we want to make sure you're not going to have anything backing up. We want it going out into the sewer, not back into your bathroom. So we'll do a sewer scope, make sure that's a nice clean line. And last but not least is that radon. Radon is the #1 cause of cancer outside of, #1 cause of lung cancer outside of cigarettes. So we want to make sure you're not moving into a home that has radioactive gas seeping up into it. And if it does, we can help find a way to remediate that problem. So these are Dave's tips. Please share them with your friends.
Nailed it.
If you're buying a home in New Mexico, especially Albuquerque, there are 4 inspections that you need to get: a general home inspection, a sewer scope, a termite and pest inspection, and a radon inspection. For the general inspection, we'll check out the roof all the way up to the crawl space, check out all the systems of the home, and make sure you know what you're purchasing. For the sewer scope, we're going to go through that sewer line and we're going to check and see if there's any blockages, make sure it's aligned, and make sure everything's going where it's supposed to go. For the termite and pests, we're going to make sure there's no termites and no other creepy crawlies in that home. And for radon, radon's the #1 cause of lung cancer besides smoking cigarettes. So we're going to make sure there's no radioactive gas seeping up into the home for you. And share this with a friend.
Tell them Amanda said so.
Tell them Amanda said so.
Love it. Nailed it.
Great show today, Skip.
Great show today, Dave. Dude, that was a great episode. I appreciate you guys showing up and just going through some Sold by Skip's tips. Amanda, you really crushed it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Dave?
Always a pleasure.
UABQ, we air every Wednesday night and Sunday morning. Join us online, and we'll see you next time. This is all about you, ABQ.
What is that? For the general inspection, they'll check out, oh shoot. Oh, is that mine? That's mine, sorry. Whoopsie.
We're going to talk a little bit about God damn it. Let's start it again.